Welcome to Khanversations. I'm Muqtadar Khan, your host, and today I want to talk a little bit about Bangladesh. Bangladesh has had a massive government change, massive, some people call it a regime change, but they had a revolution more than in 2024 August. So Sheikh Hasina's government was toppled, and after an interim government by Muhammad Yunus, but allegedly by technocrats. But they now have a new government with BNP, with Tariq Rahman as the prime minister. So I just wanted to take a look at how Bangladesh is doing since its new government has been formed. But it's also important to assess the damage that it has suffered economically as a result of the political turmoil that it was experiencing for all these months from August 2024 till February of 2026, when there was some stabilization as a result of the formation of the new government. Uh, I don't want to delve too much into the causes of the why it happened. The primary reason really was people were unhappy with how the Sheikh Hasina's government, which had become very authoritarian, there was hardly any democracy in the country, and the biggest problem was really how it was distributing public goods in terms of benefits, etc. So there was clear partiality, and on top of that, the young people, the so-called Gen Z, were finding that they had no opportunities, and so as a result of that, there was a widespread discontent. Even though the economy was doing reasonably well, it was recovering pretty rapidly after COVID. In fact, in one of those 2 years, I will show you, it recorded 7% growth rate. It was primarily driven by single commodity exports, garments by Bangladesh. But other than that, the economy was doing okay. But the distribution of the whatever gains the economy was making was undemocratic and selective, and therefore there was a lot of discontent. So what I'm going to do is, I see Bangladesh's primary problem is for the government to restore faith in the effectiveness of government, and also in the impartiality of government. You don't want BNP to behave exactly as Sheikh Hasina's party had done prior. It should not look as if it is helping only those who are associated with its party. I hope it does manage to convey that it is distributing public goods equally and to everybody. But its challenge really is to recover from the double blow that Bangladesh has suffered. One is from COVID, and the other one is from political turmoil, and then this third one, actually, if you count the war in Iran and its impact on all global South economies. In fact, the impact is global. So basically, the task for this government is to recover from these three challenges that it is facing. So one challenge is recovering its economy, and the number two is Bangladesh. It's essentially clearly, it's very clear that Bangladesh is reconstituting its grand strategy. So there's significant shifts in foreign policy. The biggest shift clearly is movement away from India. Under Sheikh Hasina, India was the closest foreign power that Bangladesh was aligned with. The relationships were absolutely marvelous. They resolved many issues except the Tista River problem, sharing of that river water. Other than that, most border-related issues were resolved, but not the immigration or so-called illegal immigration issue. But the relations were very good, but now it seems that India is not the desired partner that Bangladesh is choosing. It's moved away significantly from India, partly because they suspected and feared that India might want to bring Sheikh Hasina back. Hopefully, India has turned the page on that strategy or that policy. So Bangladesh is now moving more and more towards China, obviously consolidating its already deep relations with China. And Bangladesh is also opened a new avenue, which is very troubling for India, which is also increasing the distance between Bangladesh and India, which is growing relations with Pakistan. In fact, the most recent development where Bangladesh decided that its civil servants will not be trained in India, in Missouri, but will be trained in Lahore with the Pakistani civil servants. That is a major shift in priorities in terms of preferences with whom you want to be aligned. So Pakistani civil servant, which are essentially the same. All of these are spawns of the British civil service. But nevertheless, now the Bangladeshi way of governing locally will be influenced heavily by the Pakistani way because the Bangladeshis. I'm quite surprised as to why Bangladeshis are going to Pakistan to gain training. Why not the other way around? Why not Pakistani civil servants go to Bangladesh? Especially, I think Bangladesh has done better than Pakistan when it comes to gender empowerment and the role of women in politics and governance and even in the business sphere. Bangladesh has done better than Pakistan in terms of growth rate. Bangladesh's economy, right now, its per capita income is more than India's. And between these three countries, Bangladesh is higher per capita income. Bangladesh has grown faster. It's a bigger economy than India, Pakistan with a lesser population. So it's quite surprising to me. So it is, to me, it is a political decision or a signal or messaging that Bangladesh is sending its civil servants to be trained in Pakistan. I would think it should be the other way around, but well, what do I know? But that is a signal that there is a lot of intellectual, military intelligence, and navy partnerships between Bangladesh and Pakistan, which obviously is messaging to India. And I'm sure people in Delhi are not only concerned but also kind of irritated by that. But the question of the United States. So Bangladesh is essentially struggling to manage relations with four nuclear powers: India, Pakistan, China, and the United States. These are the four nuclear powers, major powers that Bangladesh is trying to balance its relationship and try to get the best out of all of them. And I think that after the elections, Bangladesh has made an attempt to soft pedal its growing partnership with Pakistan and try and repair its relations with India. So Khalilur Rahman, the foreign minister of well, before I come to the foreign affairs issues, let me quickly run through what's happening with Bangladesh's economy, because I think that is the more fundamental challenge. If the Bangladeshi government gets distracted with geopolitics and grand strategy and reformulating its relations, etc., it might do more harm, because I think that should be its number one, number two, number three, number four, number five priority should be economy, and then everything else. So let me show you some data about Bangladeshi economy. I like to share information, otherwise it appears as if we are talking in air. So this is the data that I have for Bangladesh. And so if you look at the changing it, so Bangladesh for the last 5 years, or rather 4 years. So in 2022, Bangladesh was growing at a rate of 7.1%. And then in 2023, it became 5.78%. And then in 2024, this was a critical year. But until August, it was under Sheikh Hasina, that was 4.22%. Then it dropped. This is the political era of Muhammad Yunus. Obviously, too much of political turmoil, domestic instability, etc. No wonder its economy went down to 3.49%. That's not really a good number for a developing country. But what you see in the yellow is the first quarter growth rate at 4.5%. So you could argue that now that Bangladeshi government you have an elected government, they are beginning to show some recovery in spite of the Iran war-related global economic instability. Now, the 7.1%, a lot of economists apparently think it is still the recovery from what happened in COVID. So most economies went down and went up, went down and went up. uh, during COVID. So immediately after COVID, the years 22, 23, 24 are seen as recovery years, and so most economies have shown higher growth rate because they're coming out from a decline. These are not good numbers for Bangladesh. They have to get it up there to 7 or 8%. They are still, even though they have a higher GDP than India per capita, they're still rated as a low-income economy, I think, by the World Bank. So if you look at the next number 2 row, I have total net foreign direct investment inflows. So if you look at 2022, it was 1.52 billion. Even though growth was 7%, the foreign direct investments that were coming in were just 1.5 billion, then went to state around 1.4, then 1.27. But in the year where it was having a lot of political turmoil, a lot of money came into Bangladesh. I find that rather curious, 1.77. In fact, in the last 5 years, the best year of foreign direct investments that Bangladesh had was under Muhammad Yunus, $1.77 billion. And then it's doing very well in 2026 already. So the forecast is that it will probably have close to $2 or more billion of foreign direct investments. And then look at the unemployment rate. I really don't know what to make of this data of unemployment. So it's around 3.8%, 3 to 4%. That's where the unemployment. And this is much better than the US. The US is 4.3% unemployment at the moment. India is also close to 5% right now. So Bangladesh's economy, either this data is entirely unreliable, absolutely unreliable, or one needs to wonder, like, the economy should be in pretty good shape if only 3.8% people are unemployed. This is usually the data of those who are seeking and looking for jobs and not finding jobs. So this is as far as the Bangladeshi economy's macro numbers are concerned. The inflation is also not very high, at least what the government is reporting. But I also wanted to share with you who is investing in Bangladesh. And so if you notice the Bangladesh, the data on Bangladeshi investments, let me go to a bigger venue where I can see it more clearly. So if you look at the foreign direct investments, the U.S. Has been investing around $300 million every year. Investments from the U.S. that are coming are about 300, and they have stayed more or less steady with a little dip in 2023, 24. The China's investments, foreign direct investments, are around $200 billion. India is where there's a lot of variance. It was very low. No, it's around 60, 50 million. And Pakistan is absolutely very, very low. So most of the investments in Bangladesh are coming from US, China, and India. So these are the main foreign direct sources for foreign direct investments, and multinational corporations are also reinvesting in Bangladesh. That is a good deal. I'm looking at individual countries. So if there is a significant investments from Europe, I'm not looking at it because of I'm also trying to look at the relations with these 4 powers, so that Bangladesh finds itself looking at US, China. So the amount of investments coming from them becomes quite critical in that sense, to put it very mildly. So if you look at this data, trade, this is the trade data, and this is important. I want you to look at the trade data between for the US, for Bangladesh with the countries. So if you look at the trade, total trade with India, it has been going down. Now that should be worrisome. Let me increase the size of this if I can, so that uh, that will be something very important to keep in mind, because this is a big spike. So it goes from by nearly 33% increase in trade with China, because of the bad relations between Bangladesh and India. India stopped sending things to Bangladesh, and so the relationship stopped. There was closure of the border, etc. So as a result of that, India's loss was China's gain. So China has gained at India's expense, I think, in terms of trade relations. There was a lot of, so for example, the raw material that Bangladesh needs for its garment industries that is exporting to the US. There is a shift there because Bangladesh has now agreed to buy American cotton. So instead of buying from India, I think it's buying from the US. And then there's also a shift in Bangladesh's some of the raw material that India stopped sending it in order to put pressure. I think it backfired because China really stepped in. And that, I think, is going to have a political impact. Look, if you're more dependent on another country, or you have deeper relations, trade relations with one country more than others. So, for example, if you have to choose between China and Pakistan, there's no debate at all. If you're a Bangladeshi leader, you have $23 billion worth of trade here, not even 1 billion here. And the same would apply with respect to India. The problem with India is there's so much of hatred generated constantly against Bangladeshis. Just yesterday, I think the mayor of Mumbai said we are going to kick out all Bangladeshis from Mumbai. And so there's a constant hatred from Indian leaders about Bangladeshis, treating them as infiltrators and stuff like that. And that undermines India's foreign policy in the neighborhood because of the hate speech coming from BJP leaders, primarily in every election, whether it's in Bengal or Assam, etc. Bangladeshis are always a target, even under Sheikh Hasina. And I'm quite surprised that Sheikh Hasina didn't push back when she was having such good relations with Prime Minister Modi. So that's as far as the economy is concerned. Bangladesh has currently announced that it is going to be getting a $5 billion sort of support from Asian Development Bank. and it'll be $1 billion per year for the next 5 years. And they're going to invest in developing Bangladesh. More interestingly, Bangladesh is renegotiating its $5.5 billion deal that it had with IMF. So they feel that their policies are very different from the previous government, and the conditions that IMF is imposing on Bangladesh for getting the reforms that it demands. But IMF loans always come with demands for reform. So those reforms, this government thinks, Tariq Rahman's government feels, the BNP government, that it cannot fulfill the obligations that the previous government. So they want to renegotiate their agreement, which is around $5.5 billion with IMF. We'll see what happens. And I looked at the shareholders of Asian Development Bank. Because if they're going to give $5 billion, I was wondering which major power will then have additional influence on Bangladesh. Because, see, if someone is borrowing money from you, you always have influence over them. So this is the shareholder. No, sorry, this is not. Which is, I think this is the one. I'm getting the wrong one. Maybe this is, yeah, this is it. So Japan and the US are the biggest shareholders of the Asian Development Bank. The US is a major shareholder. In fact, it is the core number one. So between Japan and the US, 30%, 31% of the shares of Asian Development Bank are held by US and Japan, then followed by India and China. China is slightly more than India. So basically, what it tells me is that the US will have more influence over Bangladesh and its economic policies than China or India. So we could basically see how Bangladesh is going to continue to try and balance its relations with the US, with China, where US and China are in a competitive position with China and India, where India and China are in competitive positions, and then with Pakistan and India, where India and Pakistan are in competitive relationships. So it's a very complex it's a very complex puzzle for the Bangladeshi foreign policy to balance all of these issues. So I was looking at what moves their foreign minister Khalilur Rahman has made since their government came to power. So his first visit was to Great Britain because it was part of the Commonwealth, I guess. Then he went to UK, then he went to the US. He's been to the US twice. And the biggest change there is that there is a major energy deal that these two people have signed, Bangladesh and the US. And it appears that the US has now become a major guarantor, other than UAE and Oman, from where Bangladesh buys its gas and petrol. The US has become a bigger provider of energy to Bangladesh than even India. India actually has a pipeline from Assam to Bangladesh, and India has helped sells diesel to Bangladesh, but has actually helped Bangladesh during the economic crisis. So India has taken advantage of its reserves to help its neighbors in South Asia. I noticed that China's help was just very symbolic and nominal. So like I think India sent about 180,000 barrels, 180 million whatever barrels. And, that's probably 6 or 7 times more than what China has given. But the deal with the US is for LPG and LNG. And I will show you, I generated an interesting infographic for that. I'll show you in a bit. But let me by looking at Khalilur Rahman's travels, it appears that he went first to UK, then to US, then to Turkey, Antalya Diplomacy Conference, where he met with Isaac Dar. So even though he has not gone to Pakistan yet, which is very interesting. But in April, he went on a long visit to India, met with Ajit Doval, met with Dr. Jaishankar, had a 3-day visit there. So it looks as if Bangladesh is trying to repair its relationship with India. And in order to repair their relationship with India, they are not troubling India by, literally rushing to Pakistan. They did meet the Turks before India, but it was in a multilateral situation. So you could say that the 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 bilateral meeting that Khalilur Rahman had, the first one is with the U.S., but it's also part of Bangladeshi campaign to win the UN General Assembly presidency. It's campaigning for that. And so, but it did sign a major energy deal in the U.S., and that was, I think, in March. So you could say that the first major bi- uh, bipolar, bipartisan visit was to the U.S., and then to India in April, and then in May he went to China. So in that sense, you could say that the foreign minister of Bangladesh went to India first, went to U.S. first, then to India, and then to China, and not to Pakistan yet among these four countries. And but the reports are coming. The reason why I'm doing this is because of the reports that Tariq Rahman is now going to go to China at the end of June, and that will probably be his first visit. If anybody from the Indian Ministry of External Affairs are watching this show, my suggestion is give him an invitation. Come to India first, if there is some opportunity. He could have been invited as a guest to the Quad Summit. It would have been interesting. But anyway, so as of now, China seems to be the number one priority for Bangladesh. And I think Bangladesh is going to be a major challenge for India because of its economic dependence on China increasingly. And the role that the U.S. is playing. I will not be surprised if Bangladesh-U.S. trade increases over India-U.S., India-Bangladesh trade. And that would not be good in India's interest. So India needs to remove all the restrictions that it has put on Bangladesh with regards to trade. Remember, this is very important. Strong trade relations stabilize diplomatic relations, and they reduce tensions from geopolitical tensions, because everybody realizes that, look, we have a high degree of trade with this country. We don't want to risk that. Like, for example, the U.S. has such geopolitical issues with China, but because of the interdependence of their economies and the huge trade that they still have, close to $450 billion between U.S. and China, they don't want to destabilize that. So they try to manage and political and geopolitical differences in order to sustain economic relations. This is something that I wanted to share with you. This shows essentially the oil deals. So Bangladesh has one major oil. You can see this friendship pipeline. It's called India-Bangladesh Friendship Pipeline, which brings about 180,000 barrels of diesel from Assam. You can see the map here from Assam to Bangladesh. But now they have signed two deals to get LPG and LNG. So 62% of LNG is going to now come from the US, and 17% of its LNG is liquefied natural gas and liquefied petroleum gas. So they're both going to come from the United States. So the US is, my God, the US is now producing more oil than China and Russia combined. And so it's pushing Marco Rubio, like I've been saying about Marco Rubio's visit to India, that his number one priority is to sell oil. He's become an oil salesman and an oily salesman also in some extent. So he's selling oil to Bangladesh, to India, and that's major. So this whole talk of India importing $500 billion worth of stuff from the US in the next 5 years, is the target is energy. So the US has now entered, is a supplier of energy to South Asia thanks to Bangladesh. And that is important, that US is now a bigger supplier of oil, LNG and LPG than India, which is a supplier of. There's another challenge that India faces with regards to Bangladesh, because when Khalilur Rahman went to China, they talked about China's role in the Teesta project. I really don't like to get into the nuts and bolts of those little discussions. But there's a problem with water sharing, and they have not been able to resolve the problem with India, and China is providing strategic assistance there. And that is where I think you can actually see a trilateral conflict that will happen with Teesta. So when it comes to energy, US has become a bigger supplier to Bangladesh than India. When it comes to other trade, US is rapidly catching up, and so it's quite possible that India might become the third biggest trading partner for Bangladesh after China and the US. That would not be in the interest of India at all. And what is interesting is whereas Pakistan is concerned, while there are all these symbolic things going on about Bangladesh is playing cricket and they thrashed Pakistan 2-0 in Test match. It was wonderful to watch Nahid Rana bowl at 152. He's the fastest bowler in South Asia, I guess. But at least in Test cricket. But there seems to be no substantive growth in Bangladesh-Pakistan relations, either economically or other. And so we will see when Khalilur Rahman goes to Pakistan, or Isaac Dar did make a trip under Yunus to Pakistan. Will he make another trip now? And of course, when do the heads of states really meet? Pakistan right now is, so busy with this honeymoon with Donald Trump that they are probably neglecting Bangladesh and other countries. So anyway, so these are the challenges for Bangladesh. I think it needs to really focus on its economy. That should be its top 5 priorities, and then geopolitics. But these are the 2 challenges that the current Bangladeshi government faces: how to balance the 4 nuclear powers that it has to deal with. 3 of them are in the region: Pakistan, India, China, and then the United States. And U.S. has many leverages over it, including now energy. U.S. is a major export target. Most of Pakistan's Bangladeshi exports go to the U.S., especially the garments. And now they are going to be buying, I guess, cotton and raw materials. So if Bangladesh buys raw material from the U.S. and then exports the same stuff, like you buy cotton and you make clothes and you sell that back to the U.S. has waived tariffs on that for Bangladesh, giving it an advantage over India and Pakistan and Sri Lanka, which all export garments to the West. So these are the 2 challenges. I think what is happening right now, this is what I think Bangladesh is trying to do. One, it is trying to consolidate its relationship with China, and that's why Tariq Rahman is going to go to Bangladesh. 2, it is trying to repair its relations with India as much as it can, and that's why Khalilur Rahman spent 3 days in Delhi. It is definitely going to deepen its relationship with the United States, and that's why 2 visits to the U.S., partly with the UN in mind, and the energy relations and trade relations. So you could say that Bangladesh is deepening its relations with the US, consolidating its strategic partnership with China, trying to repair its relationship with India, and with Pakistan, I don't know. There seems to be a lot of talk and symbolic stuff, but I don't see any deepening unless the trade numbers go up, and there are other partnerships. There's this whole discussion that Bangladesh is going to buy Pakistani-made jet fighters, JF-17, that a simulator has just arrived from Pakistan to Bangladesh. If that happens, it will be a major geopolitical alignment, and then you can say that Pakistan-Bangladesh relations, India-Bangladesh relations will probably never go back to what they were in 2023 if Bangladesh starts buying Pakistani weapons. So there will be a lot of interoperability alignment between Bangladesh and Pakistan. So this chatter in India that now India has to deal with 3 fronts, not 2 fronts, that will gain ascendancy. And I don't know whether Bangladesh wants that kind of discussion. Anyway, so this is my assessment of Bangladesh. I look forward to your comments and your feedback. Yes, Sunny Singh, I did mention that they have shifted from Mussoorie to Lahore. I'm nice to see that you're keeping a close eye on world affairs. Sunny Singh is a member of Khanversations, and he is a regular member. Good viewer. Thank you very much, everybody. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, share this video with your socio-political network. I know only one line in Bengali, Ami Tumar Bhalobashe. I learned that from Rajesh Khanna in some movie. Take care. Bye.